Bringing you competition among the finest bowlers in the world, it's the Pro Bowlers Tour. Greater Kansas City, named after the Kansas Indians, is located on the Missouri River with a population approaching 2 million. A progressive city of beautiful parks, incredible fountains, and magnificent sports facilities. Kansas City is rightfully proud of its Nelson Art Gallery and Truman Library. As they say here, Kansas City is at its prime time, and ABC is at Overland Park, Kansas, a suburb of Kansas City, for the $60,000 King Louie Open. ABC Sports is proud to bring you the exciting final rounds of the $60,000 King Louie Open, live from Overland Park, Kansas. Another great tournament of the Pro Bowlers Association's 1975 tour. And now let's meet the 5 tournament leaders who'll be competing for the top prize money of $7,000. In the number 5 position, bowling in the first match today, is the winner of last week's Denver Open from San Francisco, Larry Laub. And he'll meet the tournament's 4th-ranked bowler, making his first appearance on a TV final, a hometown Kansas City hero, Steve Jones. And winner of the first game will challenge the number 3 bowler, our alternate last week, who bowled a perfect game here Wednesday, hailing from Columbus, Ohio, Buckley. And the winner of this match will roll against the number 2 man in the tournament, also a first-timer on a TV final from Miami, Trask. And the winner of that semifinal game will bowl for the championship against the tournament leader, a real cranker of the ball, looking for his first tournament victory from Brooklyn, Roth. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bud Palmer. Welcome to Overland Park, Kansas. We're here for the $60,000 King Louie Open, one of the great stops on the PBA Tour. Our expert commentator this afternoon is a gentleman who's won more money and more tournaments on the PBA Tour than any man in history. That covers 3 generations. In fact, he has a son on the tour, Hall of Famer Dick Weber.
Oh, Richard, thank you.
How about these youngsters on the tour? I can say youngsters to you, I think.
Yes, you can say they're youngsters, Bud. They're very enthusiastic out there. They've got a lot of courage. They've got a lot of guts out on the lane. In fact, they're just about making me retire from the game just about.
How'd you feel in your first TV tournament final?
Nervous, and I'm sure that we have especially two nervous boys today, Trask and Steve Jones, right. And also Mark Roth hasn't won a tournament, even though he's a veteran on the tube. He's got to be a little bit nervous.
Well, live, we're going to see what happens. Once again, our tournament leader and the man to beat this afternoon is Mark Roth for $7,000 and this impressive trophy. And we'll be back on the Pro Bowlers Tour in just one moment.
Great audience.
Once again, here's how the final matches are set in today's competition. In the first match, our 5th-ranked bowler, Larry Laub, will meet the number 4 bowler in the tournament thus far, Steve Jones. Now, the winner of this first match faces Buckley, who is in 3rd place. The winner of this round will meet the bowler in 2nd spot, Trask. And the winner of that semifinal game will go for the championship against our tournament leader, Mark Roth. Remember, each competitor just keeps on advancing as long as he keeps on winning. And, of course, we get a perfect game. ABC gives that bowler $10,000, and Lincoln Mercury gives him use of a car. Okay, here is Larry Laub, who was the winner last week. You might have seen him in Denver when he beat Jim Stefanich. Won 3 tournaments last year. In fact, he won here in '72. He certainly has a perfect straight arm swing, doesn't he, Dick?
Yes, he does, Bud. And the one thing unusual about Larry Laub is for the fact that he has to drop the ball behind the foul line to have success. Anytime he gets the ball over the foul line, it's not worth anything. He leaves a solid 10-pin or 4-pin, but not too effective.
Okay, here's the local hero from Kansas City, Steve Jones, in his first TV final. He's 24 years old. Steve bowled in 14 tournaments last year and made $5,600. He has, looking at him, a nice follow-through. And I asked him if this was a house advantage playing here. He said he smiles. I only play here once a year. That's when the tournament's going on.
He's come up through our ranks of the PBA regional tour also, Bud. He's really developed himself into quite a bowler.
His best finish so far on the tour is 9th in San Jose last year. beat that start, can you, Dick?
That's the best start to get, especially against a veteran like Larry Laub. You want to get that double and make him press a little bit. Even though the veterans are used to the television a little bit, they still have a tendency to get nervous right along with the rookies.
And now it's Larry Laub once again. He's third in the money ranks this year, 11,600. Finished second last year, over $63,000.
Oh-ho! But as we see Larry Laub going to foul line, watch how he moves the ball right along with each step, slow and a nice swing through, right through there, which is very, very nice. He doesn't force the ball through. He just lets the weight of the ball bring it through.
Well, nobody's missed so far. There's the first. That's what we saw last week, that dot, the dirty old 10.
Bud, that's just part of the game. I don't care what angle or what lanes you go to in the world, you're always going to leave that old menace 10 pin. Here's the hit, and you'll see the 6-pin wrap right around the 10 pin there. That's where the 10 pin goes, and or the 6-pin goes, and that's just one of the hazards of the game.
He has this there. And once again, Steve Jones. He bowled his first game, he says, in the YMCA League. He shot 88. He said he hit the pocket every single time.
What pocket was he referring to? But he got by with something there that a lot of bowlers have trouble with, is what we call double dribbling the ball. We'll see it here on the replay here. And as he comes through, he comes down with a little bit of force and causing the ball to hit right in there, double dribbling the ball. But still, he came through with the arm for a follow-through, and that let him hit the pocket.
Makes this even Steven here.
You know, last week we had the extreme outside angle, and this week we've got what we call a deep inside angle, Bud, third arrow shot. And actually, you don't have to change that much, with exception that you still have to reminisce your basic fundamentals and keep a cool head out there.
There's the prize money for this week, $7,000 first prize. Okay, we'll be back with more of the first match in just one moment. Here are the finishers, how the 6 through 12. I like that 7th place finishes first name, Palmer Fogren. Hey, there's a guy I know, Dick Weber, finished 8th. How about him?
All right. But there's an unusual thing about this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people out of the top 6 through 10 there that are under age 30. And then we got one old guy in there.
Well, here's an old guy, Larry Laub. He's 31. Gets it in the 4th. Then going into the 4th, he already had it in the 4th. By the way, next Saturday the stop is the Copenhagen Open, $85,000 in North Olmsted, Ohio. The time is 3:30 Eastern and Pacific, 2:30 Central Time. I'll give you a rundown of the whole list of where the PBA Tour is going, so you look at Larry Laub's hands. Interesting, the difference in release between these two. Larry's so early, and Steve Jones a little late.
Steve does stay with it a little bit longer than Larry. Of course, like I say, Larry has to drop that ball for the ball to be effective. I will watch the ball movement here as it comes through. Watch the ball hit the floor, and then the pin action, the ball will be slightly high where the 2 pin will go right around the 4 pin and leaving the solid 4. A little bit higher, he possibly might have tripped the 4 pin off.
That's a common occurrence, though, isn't it?
Yes, very much so.
That and the 6th pin going around the 10 seem to be.
Yes.
Okay, Steve Jones steps up again. Match is all even here. Don't forget, immediately following the bowling over most of these stations, Wide World of Sports, and that'll be followed by the 3rd round via satellite of the Hawaiian Open.
That's the one that Steve really wanted, buddy, for the fact that he took a 10-pin lead with that, and it puts a little more pressure on Larry. As I say, the old veterans still have a chance to get nervous a little bit, and the rookies know that, so they want to put as much pressure as they possibly can on them.
Well, we got a long ways to go, though. We're going to reach the 6th frame right now. Mentioning the Hawaiian Open, it's raining out there, but they're playing, and we'll bring you that tournament, as I mentioned, after Wide World of Sports today, live in the Wailai Country Club. There's concentration for you.
Pure concentration out there for Steve. You know, last week, Larry Laub had to play an outside line, and this week he had to play an inside line. So I asked him, do you feel like you have to change anything in your style of bowling? And here's what he had to say.
Well, Dick, there's quite a change in angles this week. Last week we played around the 1st arrow. This week we're playing between the 2nd and 3rd. But I'm working on speed more than anything this week. I'm trying to go straighter and trying to throw it harder this week.
Well, that was Larry Laub, as Dick Barber mentioned, who spoke to us before we went on the air, shaking his head a bit. Once again, that looked like the 6 circled the 10, didn't it?
Yes, it did, Bud. He's a little aggravated that he didn't carry, and that's just part of the penalties of the game. But, of course, Steve Jones hasn't been out of the pocket either. Every ball has been solid by both bowlers. We'll watch Larry Laub's footwork here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it's a nice smooth slide with the ball coming in right with the left foot. And that's what the amateur bowler should always work for. That's what the bowler calls timing, the timing step.
He was lucky to get the count he did on that, don't you think?
Yeah, he could have had possibly a 4-7-9 at the split there. Pin coming over, knocking the 9 pin down, and he's happy with the results, but he's got to get busy. He's 23 pins down now. Watch the 10 pin knock the 9 pin down, and he gets away from the split.
He gets the spare, but he still trails by 23 here at the King Louie $60,000 Open. We'll be back with the conclusion of the first match in a moment. You're looking at 13 through 18. Number 15 there, Tudor Caldwell, local boy. 16, Kurt Schmidt, the Martian. Don Johnson has won 23 victories on the tour. And number 18, Cliff McNeely, who made our TV finals, I believe, in Vegas.
That's right, Bud. And Don Johnson's one of the Tournament of Champions champion.
Steve Jones leading by 23, as you can see, 7th frame, and the pressure must be building. This is his first TV final. Every time they left the same pin.
Bud, we'll watch here. As Steve comes through with the arm swing, he sort of forces the swing through and lofts that ball right there, and causing that little pull with the arm and causing the ball to hit a little bit high and not carrying the 4 pin.
That cuts his lead to 22 as Larry Laub goes, still Steve Jones, excuse me, he's in the 8th.
And he hasn't missed the pocket yet at all, which is a credit to him being on television for the first time.
Like that first game he said he ever shot when he hit 88, he said he never missed the pocket.
Come on, you're pulling my leg.
Cleans him there.
See if Larry Laub can correct himself. He just was a little bit ahead of himself the last frame or two. And let's see if he'll slow down a little bit and get that timing part back where he can get the ball with the sliding foot. And he did.
You know, it's amazing, well, it shouldn't be, really, how athletic all the bowlers are now. Because it's such an athletic competition, they've bowled just about 100 games here this week, 42 in competition. That's why they look so athletic. There's not many sort of chubby ones on the tour.
Yes, in fact, we have a 90-minute practice session for each bowler out here, Bud, each week, Tuesday, in fact. And then we have a pro-am that night and then go into our competition in the tournament.
Oh, he's outside then, you could say.
A little bit of compensation there for the pitch beforehand. He left the 4-7, now he leaves the bucket the 2-4-5-8. And that's a pretty tough spot. He goes around a little bit more with the ball and missing the head pin on the right side just lightly.
Ooh, that's the first open frame. That'll really cost him.
Like I said, it's a tough spare. You can chop it so many ways. You can be light on the 2-5 and leave the 8 pin, or do what Larry did there, hitting the 2 pin too full and leaving the 5 pin.
Now it's Steve Jones stepping in the ninth.
Watch out there. Oh. Bud will call that shot now. The pin rolled around and hit the 4 pin, but the rack hit the pin and knocked it down. So the pin will have to be reset. And our tournament director is Harry Golan is notifying the people in the back to set up the 4 pin only because the rack did touch the pin.
All right, we have a second here, Mike, to mention the other people want to catch up on the PBA Tour. February 15th, the $70,000 Fairlane Open in Springfield, Virginia. February 22nd is the $60,000 Long Island Open from Garden City, Long Island. We'll watch Steve get the spare here.
And that just eliminated Larry Laub from the tournament, Bud. Steve Jones is our official winner. And I will say he bowled an excellent game for the first time on television.
Yeah, now he's going to meet up with Roy Buckley, and if he wins that one, he'll meet Art Trask, and if he wins that one, it'll be Mark Roth. You can see he's ahead by 34 in the 10th. Continuing with the March 1st, is $100,000 Midas Open from Windsor Locks, Connecticut. And March 8th, it's the $70,000 Ebonite Don Carter Classic from Miami, Florida. Yeah. And don't forget, coming up this afternoon here on ABC, we have Wide World of Sports, followed by the 3rd round of the Hawaiian Open, where it's raining at the Wailea Country Club. That'll be live via satellite. That's except on the West Coast. And Arnold Palmer making quite a surge there in the Hawaiian Open.
Yes, I hope he does it too. He's my favorite.
So Steve Jones, we mentioned, is our winner. And he'll move closer to first prize money of $7,000. He faces Roy Buckley in the second match at the King Louie Open in just 1 moment. There's the score of the first game. You can see Steve Jones took out Larry Laub 227 to 194, but Larry still picks up $1,750 for a finishing fifth, that is. And now here's the man, the Steve Jones, a rookie making his first TV appearance, as we mentioned, faces Roy Buckley. And Roy was our alternate last week, rolled a perfect game here on Wednesday. He has 3 perfect games in competitions, won 2 tournaments, and one of the best thinkers, they tell me, on the tour.
Yes, he has good concentration, but very good concentration.
Now, what does that really mean? Does it mean you can change your style or adjust according to the lanes during the game?
Well, a combination of many things. He can change his style, change his game. He can shut out everybody in the audience. He can shut out his home life, just everything.
Well, this is the guy who's got a shutout right now, Steve Jones. I would think striking on the person must give a rookie or anybody tremendous confidence.
Well, especially in the second game, too, because he did beat Larry Laub, the veteran, Roy Buckley being the veteran, and Roy knows that he hit the pocket every time the first game, so he knows he's got his work cut out for him.
That is no way to start. That looks like me.
I will watch Roy as he goes to the foul line, and Roy has a tendency to pull the ball, Bud. And as he releases, watch this right there. He's coming over to his left shoulder with the hand and pulling that ball to the nose, getting a 4-6 split.
Tough break for Roy Buckley. By the way, he hasn't won a tournament recently, but been consistently cashing checks. He won $36,000 in '73, $35,000 last year, and he finished third in the Tournament of Champions in '74. He lost to Earl Anthony 215 to 213. That must have hurt.
Oh.
But he picked up $8,000.
Can't cry about that, though, can you? You know, in talking about Roy Buckley's concentration, but when I said he could shut out his home life, no offense to Alice's wife, but he does have that tendency, which is an asset to him, because he can shut out everything like that and bowl very, very well. And he's a good boy along with it.
Well, they have one child.
And Steve can really put the pressure on here by giving a strike here and giving him approximately a 21-pin lead with this strike right here.
He's got it. Steve Jones. Well, he moves over to the other lane. Let's pause 5 seconds so our local stations may identify themselves.
Here's the footwork of Steve Jones, and you notice that ball coming right with the left foot, where the ball is placed right on the foul line, right there. And that's beautiful.
Look at his right heel. It looks like it's almost hitting the ball return there.
It is, and it keeps his balance going.
Three-bagger. First two very solid. Puts Buckley in a deep hole, 31 pins as he's coming up to the third. Wow. It's Steve Jones, first time on television, being a terror. Roy Buckley, another one of the older generation at 31. Did you hear that? I said older generation at 31, Dick.
Thanks a lot, Bud.
Gosh, he just can't find the pocket.
Well, Roy just made a little bit of adjustment there. First of all, the first two frames he was high by pulling the ball to the nose, so he thought he maybe moved to the his left one or two boards and still hit the same spot, but it certainly didn't work out for him that time. And this is frustrating to a veteran, too, because he's reminiscing everything he possibly can throughout the years.
Trails by 32 now. As I mentioned, he was the only man to roll a perfect game here. 299 was rolled by Harry Mickelson. He left the 5-pin. By the way, this is the 9th consecutive year we've been at King Louie West. Hosted a PBA tournament, one of 6 houses that Vic Lerner put together, who passed away last year just about this time.
Always high scores, too, Bud. Terrific scores here.
Dropped.
There again, Roy just trying to make the adjustment. He's fighting himself. He's a little disgusted with himself, as you can see by the expression on his face. It does happen to the pro bowlers. You know, a lot of people think that we bowl 200s all the time, and we get in trouble every once in a while, and again, you have to go back and just readjust the whole game.
Well, did you ever see Arnold Palmer miss a 3-foot putt? We certainly do. And don't forget, the Hawaiian Open will be coming up in the wide world of sports after this live telecast. We'll return for more of the second match from King Louie in just one moment. Here are the positions 19 through 24, including a lot of good bowlers like Nelson Burton, who finished as finalist last week, that is. Tommy Hudson, a former Rookie of the Year. And Mike Lemongello's in there, a former PBA national champion.
Yeah, it was good to see our president of the PBA, Nelson Burton Jr., in there. It's always a pleasure to see him.
Here's a guy who's a pleasure having with us, and he sure thinks the same thing. Steve Jones leading by 33 pins going into the 4th frame.
Bud, that was the first time that he's been out of the pocket. He had 14 straight pocket hits, and that was just a little bit too high to call a pocket hit, and he was happy with the results. Here's the throw, and as the ball lofted out, he pulls the ball a little bit, and there you see the ball hitting the nose and leaving the 4-7.
He's so lucky to take out the 10, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. He's happy with the results.
He's ahead by 31 pins. I think this is bowling is awful like putting in golf. It takes tremendous concentration trying to get the same motion through the ball every time, or the same motion approaching the line.
Very similar to putting. In fact, you don't want the arm to wobble. You don't want the legs to wobble. You want everything solid. Well, an interesting note here, Bud. Roy Buckley knows he has to get to work. And if Roy Buckley doesn't win this game, we're definitely going to have a new champion. And the champion that's on the block to be rubbed out from the tournament of champions is Andy Marzich. And I think he's pulling for Roy Buckley right now. Here's the footwork of Roy Buckley. A big, large first step and second step, smaller on the third, and coming through the 4th, he takes a large swing with the arm and makes sure he gets that ball right there with the sliding step. All bowlers are looking for that.
Yeah, these fellows would certainly like to qualify for the Firestone Tournament of Champions, which concludes the winter tour, $125,000, April 19th, Akron, Ohio. It'll be a pleasure to see Scotty Ruebaker and all the gang at Firestone, too, Bud. Steve Jones again, leading by 21. Strike cut it by 10 in the 6th frame. This boy shows me a lot, Bud. He really comes back strong. He doesn't let anything bother him at all. Great, quiet sense of humor. His wife Beverly's here. They have a baby, Tricia. So he mentioned earlier this would be by far his best finish on the PBA Tour. He was 9th in San Jose last year. His best up to this time. Bowled in 14 tournaments last year and cash for $5,600. Which isn't bad for the rookie year. For Steve Jones, and we'll be back with more of the second match here from King Louie West in Overland Park, Kansas, right after this message. We're looking at the two gentlemen who run the operation here, the vast King Louie operation, 6 houses. On the left is Bob Palin, and on the right is Mike Mellon. They're both sons-in-laws of Vic Lerner, who established this great bowling center here in Kansas City or in Overland Park. Has a huge skating rink, 32 tables in the billiard parlor, all under one roof. And first class all the way, Bob. Oh, it's just great. And Roy needs a couple of strikes here, trailing by 41. There's one of them. Well, if Roy Buckley goes out all the way here, Bud, he can get a 247. Of course, Steve Jones goes all the way, he gets a 278. That ain't bad. Interesting thing, the winner of this goes up against another fellow who's never been in a TV final before, Art Trask. And the winner of that will face Mark Roth, who hasn't won. That's right. He's been on TV before, but never won. It's amazing. Around the 10 it goes.
Just one of those things. He got the ball well over the foul line, out on the lane. He followed through real well, left that solid 10. That's something that we can't answer, but many people ask us why we leave a solid 10. Can't we adjust for it? But it's just an nth degree if you adjust for it.
Boy, there were a lot last week, too, in Denver. Picks up the spare. And Steve Jones here leading by 32 pins. In case you just joined us, he won the first game over Larry Laub, 227 to 194. Now he's leading Roy Buckley here in the second. Steve's only 24 years old.
If you watch closely here, bud, watch Steve at the release snap his arm forward back toward the right shoulder with his...
Yeah. Crowd is really for him. Local boy. It's just great to see somebody who is locally oriented doing so well.
Right. And here's his snap at the follow-through, bud. He gets by with it more so than a lot of people. And right here at the release, right here, watch his arm come up.
Mm-hmm.
It comes up right to his right shoulder, right in there. And most bowlers try to extend a little bit to their spot instead of snapping to their right shoulder.
Boy, it's working for him today, though.
Certainly is. I'm going to try it out myself.
Strike all the way along, except in the fourth. There's another one.
Now, you know, Roy Buckley knows he has to go all the way out. But, of course, Steve Jones is sitting down there, and I know what's running through Steve Jones' mind. He just wants to stay clean and mark because he's got him shut out if he keeps moving.
The door is being almost closed upon Mr. Buckley here.
It definitely is closed out now, bud.
And Steve Jones, by golly, we still have a long ways to go in this game. A few frames is our winner. He beat Larry Laub in the first and has taken Roy Buckley here in the second. Gives me a chance for you folks just seeing how great the action is on the PBA Tour, where we're going to be, continuing with the rundown on March 22nd. PBA Tour will be at the $80,000 Monroe Max Air Open in Metier, Louisiana. And March 29th, the $100,000 BPAA U.S. Open at Grand Prairie, Texas. April 5th, the $80,000 Miller High Life Open from Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. And Roy's still having problems. And then the April 12th, the $85,000 Ebonite Open from Toledo, Ohio. And it all concludes April 19th, the $125,000 Firestone Tournament of Champions in Akron, Ohio. We're going to have a guy qualifying for that this afternoon who's never done it before.
Definitely so. One of the three coming up, bud. You know, our statistician, Mike McGrath, has pointed out that Roy pretty much lost the game in the first four frames.
Well, he's open in the first.
Right. And he was out of time, pulling the ball to the nose, being light a couple of times. So Roy can't really say that he was out-bowled, or out-lucked, rather. He was really out-bowled.
And that gives Roy Buckley a 204. Steve Jones keeps on going, and if he strikes out here, as he move into the 10th, he could have a 278. That's not bad. Went with his 227 of the first game. He keeps on knocking him down. We have a winner. And we'll return with more action now. He'll face Art Trask in the second game and the third game in just one moment. Steve Jones takes Roy Buckley 277-204. Faces Art Trask here in the next game. Now let's go to O.J. Simpson in New York City. O.J.?
Thank you, Bud. We have a little unfortunate news. The third round of the Hawaiian Open Golf Tournament has been canceled because of rain, but we'll be bringing you the third round tomorrow. Only one basketball game this afternoon in the NBA, and the New York Knicks was defeated by Houston 95-93 here in New York. Immediately after the game, the Knicks announced a trade. They sent guard Henry Bibby from UCLA and cash to the New Orleans Jazz for center Neil Walker and guard Jim Burnett. Now let's go back to Bud Palmer and Dick Weber in Overland Park.
We're back. We're back once again here at King Louie West in Overland Park, Kansas, for the $60,000 King Louie Open. Very interesting. We all have rookies all the way now. Art Trask has never won a tournament on the PBA Tour. And the winner of this will face Mark Roth, who has never won, and one of these three will qualify for the Firestone Tournament of Champions. And this is Art Trask, a very deliberate bowler, 25 years old, from Miami. His best finish, he was second last December in the Hawaiian Invitational. This is his first television final. Watch how deliberate he is.
Oh, yes. He's worked on his game tremendously.
No doubt there.
Got a good speed, got a good attitude about the game. A couple of years ago, he couldn't average but maybe 201, 202, which isn't worth too much out here on the tour.
Sure is. And that just shows you how much he's won so far, Steve Jones. But he won the first game, in case you just joined us, over Larry Laub. Defeated Roy Buckley in the second. Here he is in the third. And Roy Buckley picked up $2,000 for finishing fourth. Another solid hit by the hometown hero. He is from Kansas City.
But he's had 23 out of 24 pitches in the pocket. And that's a tremendous thing for a rookie like this. Hasn't wilted, got his whole total game together, and he's not going to let up. Because I think looks like he's hungry for that Firestone Tournament Champions berth.
Sure does. Gee, it's tough that the Hawaiian Open is canceled this afternoon, but of course we'll have Wide World of Sports coming on right after the King Louie Open. There's his wife on the right with the glasses, Beverly. And that puts it right off the bat. Steve Jones getting 2 strikes, the first 2 frames on Art Trask, who also had a strike in, very solid one, in the first frame. There it is again.
Art is one of the few players that can get by with turning his right shoulder away from the spot and then getting back to it. We'll see it on the replay here as he comes back, and as he gets to the foul line, see how the shoulder is there, and then when he gets here, it's straight, and he's got a good, firm follow-through. He's one of the few bowlers that can get by with that. Before the show, I asked Art Trask about what did he think of his qualifying position of second place, and here's what he had to say.
Well, Dick, this being my first TV show, I'm just happy to be here. Qualifying second, of course, everybody would like to be first, but second is better than I've ever done before, and I'm just, like I say, just glad to be here.
Well, he better get some more strikes to stay happy to be here, because he trails by 10 right now. Little delayed reaction there from Mr. Trask.
That's the one little break the bowlers are always looking for, that one little trip or one off the wall, sort of to shake up your opponent a little bit, too.
Just shows you the whole story right there. Third frame, Steve out ahead.
You know, this boy has a tremendous amount of carrying power from between the third and fourth arrow. The ball seems to set back a little bit, but when it hits the pins, it hits with authority. And that's the roll of the ball. And sure enough, I'd say that he'd leave a solid 10.
Solid hit.
We'll see it on the screen here. As everything is, it's perfect. His swing is perfect. His follow-through is definitely perfect. And there's the ball going straight line, and naturally the 6 coming around and leaving the 10 pin. And I must apologize to Steve Jones for causing that tap.
And that evens things out. Well, at least Steve still leads by 9, but it's getting closer all the time, and the balls you hear in the background hitting the pin is Mark Roth, who is the leader will face the winner of this match. In case you just joined us, Steve Jones beat Larry Laub in the first game, defeated Roy Buckley in the second. Now he's facing Art Trask here in the third, and the winner will meet Mark Roth.
That's just 26 out of 27, Bud.
It's just great. We'll be back with more of the third round action in today's Pro Bowlers Quiz right after this message. Now we're going to the Bowlers Quiz, and Dick Weber, quit looking at the answer, will you? Today's quiz bowler is from Rochester, New York. Is actually a young old-timer who still plays the game. He's known as the Tiger when he bowled in the Tour on a full-time basis and won 10 PBA titles. Now stay tuned with us for the answer to today's bowling quiz, and there he is.
I know him. Great competitor.
And there are the leading money winners. He sure is. And they're on the tour right now. Carmen Salvino, that big win in Las Vegas, and Larry Laub, who lost here in the first game to Steve Jones. Ooh, a lot of money on the tour these days, considering you fellas started out with about $43,000. Now you're bowling for over $2 million.
That's right, Ben, and we're glad to see Carmen Salvino, one of the few veterans that was a charter member of the PBA, still out on the tour and bowling up a storm. It's good to see him out.
This is getting to be a tight match. And Steve Jones's lead is cut to 2-1.
You know, I mentioned that Steve Jones had 26 pocket hits out of 27 pitches, and that's a remarkable thing. And of course, Art Trask is just coming up, and he has 4 straight solid hits in the pocket. So when these boys come out of their junior programs, they're not wet behind the ears anymore. They're strong.
Ooh, this is tight. Art Trask, another strike. And now Steve Jones, I think for the first time in the 3 games he's been in, is behind by 11 pins as he goes into the 5th.
Exactly right. And this, like you say, this will be the first time that Steve has been behind.
Huge crowd here. Everybody's lined up. They are everywhere I've been on the bowling tour, about 2 hours in advance, and they draw tremendous crowds for the whole week. Very popular sport. You can hear the hometown as he threw that one, being a root for him.
Yeah, I remember my first time on TV, Bud. When I had to get a strike...
There's Steve Jones' wife, Beverly. Go ahead.
Very nice person. When I had my first appearance on TV, I'd never bowled this way. In fact, I was just happy to get through the one game and sit down and watch the other fellas bowl.
You mean you lost in the first one? Yeah.
Yes, I did.
You won 24 after that, though. There's that 10 again.
Well, notice that when he releases the ball, he'll loft the ball out a little bit more, causing a little bit more speed, and there goes that 6-pin right around the 10-pin again. There's nothing that we can do to eliminate that pin either, Bud.
Can't you make it a little thicker around the throat? Special 10 pins.
I told him to put earmuffs on my 10-pin so it'll be knocked down.
And now our Trask leads by 2 pins as he steps up in the 6th frame.
And he knows with this hit, Bud, he can take a 12-pin advantage, and with the next hit, take a 22-pin advantage. And 22 pins in roughly 4 frames left for Steve Jones is quite a bit, so he's working hard on this one.
It's like being between the hard place and the rock now.
Was he happy? Was he happy?
He was smiled upon.
Again, that's the hit that the bowler is really looking for, that off hit to carry. They know they can carry pretty much when they hit solid, but they want that off hit because they can't be perfect every pitch.
That was off the wall.
That's my favorite hit. Without that, I'm lost. Heel, toe, heel, toe.
Ooh. Oh, there's another one. And we'll return with more of the King Louie Open live from Oakland Park, Kansas, and the answer to today's quiz on the Old Timer in just a moment. And the answer to today's bowling quiz is PBA Hall of Famer Harry Smith, really a true bowling great, captured 10 PBA titles, including the All-Star and the Masters Championship. And Harry, hope you're watching today. Like to have you here.
Wish him the best, bud.
And that's what they're competing for here, $60,000, $7,000 first prize money. Second is $4,000. 1959, the total prize money was $45,000. Now on the tour, as I mentioned, it's over $2 million. Great work by Joe Antonora, the executive director, Eddie Elias, and Frank Esposito. And Steve Jones is not going to fold.
No, he's not. And the only 2 pins that he's left in this game is 2 solid 10s. And it puts him down 22 pins. He knows he's got 3 frames left. He knows the pressure's there, but he doesn't seem to wilt.
Sure doesn't. Tells you everything. Art Trask can strike out for 280 and Jones for 258. Mike McGrath, our scorekeeper, keeping us up to date. Mike's won 10 tour titles. He wants that one, and he gets it.
Oh, what a break he got out of that one, Bud. And he was very happy.
Look at the break Art Trask had on the 2 of them. Beginning to even out a little bit now. And now that reduces Art Trask's lead to 12. Very tight game here. He's in the 8th.
You know one thing, Bud, neither bowler can afford a wild pitch because count is so very, very important here. If Art doesn't strike, he still wants at least a 9-pin count, no less than an 8-pin count.
There we go. You know, Dick, both of Art Trask's folks bowl. They're both 65. His father sports at 65, 185 average, and Mom 150.
Well, no wonder he's so tough. His father's carrying 185?
Yeah, that's 65 years of age.
It's beautiful.
Bowled his first game when he was 7 years of age. And he's up ahead again by 22 pins.
My father was about a 185 average bowler, and he taught me the 5-step delivery and the basic fundamentals, and then let me go on my own.
You haven't done badly. Oh, that will tighten things up considerably.
He delayed that ball a little bit on the breaking point. Of course, he got the 9-pin count, which he wanted. If he didn't get the strike. And this will let Steve Jones go out for the 258, and if Art Trask spares and then would strike out, Art Trask would have 259. So we have a very interesting situation, especially on count again, Bud.
Well, let's see what he can do now.
One sure thing about it, Steve Jones knows he has to have this hit to be in contention for the game. And it's a sure must that he strikes.
Everybody's holding their breath in here. Lack of oxygen.
My hands are perspiring myself.
Reaction. Now he cuts that lead to 11 pins.
Again, he knows he has to have a strike. He can't afford a wild pitch of any sort. And if he does not strike, he still wants the 9-pin count because you never know what the other bowler is going to do. And if Art would get the 8-pin count and an open, well, then we'd have a pretty close to a tie match. All right, buddy, he's 1 pin behind. He knows he wants this in here to make his opponent now double. Art Trask double in the 10th frame.
Saw the big smile on his wife's face.
Well, she has a right to be very proud of him.
Darn right.
He has bowled like a true champion today. Not like a rookie, that's for sure.
Won the first game over Larry Laub, the second over Roy Buckley.
Coming through. Once again, that smile is Beverly, his wife. Righto. Now, Bud, on this ball here, he knows he has to strike again because Art Trask can get 2 strikes in the 10th and still afford to get 9 pins, and that would be a tie match definitely. So he definitely wants this hit right here. And this is what all the bowlers have really worked for all week long. They come to situations like this, and this is why they work so hard in their practice sessions before the tournament. During the tournament, they make notes of the game. So here goes Steve Jones. Beautiful. And bedlam reigns here at King Louie West. Steve Jones really coming through under pressure. Trailed by over 30 pins. Strikes out 258 and really puts it to Art Trask because now Art needs 2 strike and 9 pins to tie. And now we're looking at Mark Roth there briefly, who will be facing the winner of this match for the $7,000 first prize. Boy, how close can you get? I'm glad I'm up here and not down there, Bud. So that makes Steve Jones the winner, Bud. Tough break for Art Trask. I'm sure his family were watching, both bowlers, after leading by 32. But you can take nothing away from Steve Jones, the rookie. His first time on television, started in 4th place, has won 3 straight games. And neither bowler had a ball out of the pocket that game, Bud. So Steve Jones there gets ready to meet Mark Roth at the King Louie Open Championship for $7,000 first prize. We'll be back in a moment. We're up for the final game now. First prize $7,000. There's the last game. Steve Jones winning 258 to 247 over Art Trask. He won the first game over Larry Laub, 227-194. And then also beat Roy Buckley, 277 to 204. That's how he's just proceeded all the way through. 2 rookies on here now. Carrying a 254 average right now for the 3 games, which is a 762 series. 35 out of 36 balls in the pocket. Now Mark Roth, whom you guys claim has the ugliest hand on the tour because he cranks the ball so much it's sore you can watch it. A very powerful bowler. Strong, carries well. Down it goes. Just tears the cover off the ball, Bud. Just tears the cover off the ball. Also has a tendency to tear the cover off his hand now. Yes, that's true. What we mean by tearing the cover off the ball is just twisting and turning so much and lifting so hard that you think the cover is going to come off the ball. Well, once we mentioned this is looking for his first TV victory. He's been on television before. In fact, he was 3rd here last year, lost to Gary Dickinson. Past 2 seasons, he's won over $55,000 and only 15, doesn't he? Yes, and he puts a lot of force into the bowling game, which is his game. That's nothing wrong with it. But he doesn't have it come easy to him. He really has to work at it. You know, this boy might duplicate a record that happened here several years ago with Timmy Harahan, sorry. Timmy Harahan went from the bottom all the way through the top and won his first tournament, and Steve Jones might do the same. He trails by 10 right now. He's in the second, struck in the first. How about it? Well, there again, Bud, you can't do anything about the leaving the 10 pin. As we see Steve Jones releasing the ball, the lofts the ball nicely, follow through nicely, hitting the pocket solid, and there we go again, right around that 10-pin, 6-pin goes.
You know, tomorrow on ABC, 5 solid hours of sports. Finals of the Women's Superstar, followed by the Howard Cosell Show, Wide World of Sports, and then the Hawaiian Open. Shows you the whole thing. Steve Jones, as we mentioned, from Kansas City. Bowled in only 14 tournaments last year. Made $5,600.
Statistician Mike McGrath just passed me a note that if he shot, Steve Jones shot 246 this time, he would have the high 4-game series on TV. Larry Laub has that record right now.
And the challenger, as far as the hometown crowd is concerned, from Brooklyn, New York.
No, but I asked Mark Roth about the preparation he goes through the night before in caring for his hand, and he gave me this answer.
The night before I bowl, I have a prescription for cortisone, Quattro. It's a prescription to keep my thumb and my hands soft. And at night, I put a little bit on my thumb, rub it all around, put it in a saran wrap, and go to sleep with it. And when I wake up in the morning, I just wash it off. And my thumb is a little softer, and the callus starts to peel a little bit. And it doesn't give me as much trouble as it normally does.
No, if anybody goes to bed with saran. $7,000 at stake. We'll return with more of this final round action between Steve Jones and Mark Roth right after this message. And here we are back live at the King Louie Open. Steve Jones. Steve is in the 4th, and he trails by 30.
And now it's 20.
The words right out of my mouth.
But, you know, a while ago I made a statement about a statistic on the 4-game record. It's held by Larry Laub. I had the name right, but I had the score wrong. It was 10-21. In fact, it was bowled right here at King Louie West.
I thought it was. He was, what, one here last year?
1972, right?
2? That's right, 72. Here's Steve Jones, though, looking for his first win and a place in the Firestone Tournament of Champions if he can beat Mark Roth. But, oof, Mark has 4 strikes in a row. He needs this one. He needs them all. And he got that
one. That's just 39 balls in the pocket out of 40 pitches, Bud.
Unbelievable.
Fantastic.
Well, the pressure hasn't gotten to him, and here's Mark. Head by 10. Heading towards the 5th. Boy, he's strong.
Yes, he lifts the ball tremendously.
Powers it in there. No 10-pin standing there.
You know, we were kibitzing in the paddock last night, kidding Mark Roth. It says it's unfair for him to bowl the ball the way he does because he has anywhere from 9 to 10 more boards to hit than we do. And we were asking him to use a duck pin ball instead of a regular bowling ball. But he took it in good-naturedly.
Amazing. He's 23. Steve Jones is 24. Now, this is not like baseball when a guy's pitching a no-hitter because it's news. We must tell you that Mark has 6 in a row now, and you know what happens if he gets 12 in a row? ABC gives him $10,000, and Lincoln Mercury gives him a new car. And he also will pick up $7,000 here. That isn't a bad afternoon's work.
It's a nice payday.
He has to work for it, though. Steve is open in the 2nd. He struck except for that. He's in the 6th.
No, but I'd like to compliment all these bowlers on the show. They really show true professional championship form here. Mark being on television before, but especially Steve Jones and Art Trask, the way they shot under the pressure, and there has to be pressure because even, as I say, the veterans get butterflies in their stomach and a little bit nervous, and these boys have really put on a great show.
Well, they're great athletes. They respond to pressure. That's what a great athlete does. I think when you get to the level of this in any sport, it's about 85 to 90% mental. The rest is all mechanics.
Right.
That'll really hurt him.
Yeah, that's his second ball out of the pocket. 40 shots out of 42 in the pocket.
Mark
Speaks well
Roth
for himself.
trying to concentrate there. He knows exactly where he stands. What I mean by knowing where he stands is he knows about that $10,000 and the new car and the $7,000 and everything else.
He's got a lot of things running through his mind anyway.
Here he is. He looks more burly than he is. He's 6 feet, 160 pounds, as I mentioned, 23 years old, a bachelor from Brooklyn. And look what he's done. Is that another? It is another!
It seems like the longer he goes, the stronger he gets. He just cranked the living daylights out of that ball.
And everyone's been solid.
Yes.
He leads by 32 now as we head into the 8th.
It hurts me to watch him. I used to be that way, but not anymore.
Come on. Yes, that right hand, that thumb of his, is not the prettiest thing I've ever seen in my life. But his bowling is. Another.
8 in a row here, bud. He's looking at that 10,000, the Lincoln Mercury car.
Who's got that 10,000 ABC check?
I think Frank Esposito down on the front bench has that. He's got it all ready.
I hope we give it away. I love giving away those checks. But here's Steve Jones in the 8th, trailing by 42. If he strikes out, he'll have 258. Keeps on moving it.
He says, I just got to make this feller strike all the way out.
See the packed house here. Concentrating Mark Roth. Just trying to stay relaxed. Don't you on that chair? Just try and keep yourself from tensing up.
Is that
what do you think on that chair?
Is that why you have your hand on my shoulder to keep me down? This is a very important ball for Steve Jones. He knows he has to have this hit, even to have a halfway chance of beating Mark Roth.
Boy, they've been good games here today. Okay, here we go. That picture is worth 1,000 words. Going for number 9. Get it, Mark.
Oh. Well, Bud, that definitely gave him the win of the game. Now, all we can hope for is 3 more strikes, $10,000, and a Lincoln Mercury car, plus the $7,000 from King Louie. Well, the only thing I can say, Bud, is I hope you get it, Mark.
You know, I might add that the last perfect game on television, Jim Stefanich bowled out in Alameda, California. I was there, too.
Good.
We'll return with the winner from King Louie Open in just one moment. That's Mark Roth.
Now comes Miller time. The longest 6 seconds of your life just turned out to be the quickest quarter mile of the day. So head for the best tasting beer you can find. Miller High Life, America's quality beer since 1855.
If you got the time, we've got the beer.
You're about to see another reason why the Firestone Steel Radio 500 is too much tire to turn down. The new water squeezer tread that actually pushes water out the sides of the tread to improve traction even in the rain. The safety of your tires is also affected by air pressure, wear, load, and operating conditions. But remember the water squeezer tread. Another reason why the new Firestone 40,000-mile steel Radio 500 is just too much tire to turn down.
And here is the slow motion replay of Mark Roth going for that $10,000. And he leaves a solid 4-pin. Great win, though, by Mark Roth. There's the trophy right there. The gentleman, let's get up behind the car here. Governor Bennett right here. Mark Roth, come on up here. Ladies and gentlemen, what a great contest. Governor, you really saw some great bowling today.
Yes, I was sorry I missed that one pin, though.
Yeah, so did I. Let's get around this way. We got some other trophies so doggone big here in Kansas. How do we work around the thing? Mark, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You're still in a little shock, aren't you?
I'm very weak, and I'm very nervous.
Yes, it's a shame, but you really gave everybody just a tremendous thrill. Everybody's pulling for you. But, you know, Bob Palin's here, who runs the whole King Louie, and have a check there, don't you?
Mark, it's my pleasure on behalf of all of us at King Louie to present you with this check for $7,000, his first place in the King Louie Open. Congratulations on a fine game.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank everybody here at King Louie Lanes and everybody at the King Louie Company for sponsoring this tournament. Thank you very much.
Well, Mark, you know, that qualifies you for the Firestone Tournament of Champions. I'd love to give you $10,000. I mentioned I love giving other people's money away, especially ABCs, if I possibly can. Just wish we could have gotten that 4-pin.
I wish so, too.
And listen, Steve Jones, come on up here, Steve. Hometown boy, first time on television. By golly, he really did. Nice going, Steve. Nice going. You nervous there in your first final?
I was scared to death.
You were scared to death. Governor, thank you very much. We really enjoyed ourselves here in Kansas. ABC has. And what a great crowd. Thank you very much, y'all. Just great things out here. King Louie. Mark, congratulations for winning. Steve Jones, just great. Bud Palmer is saying so long to Dick Weber from King Louie West here at Overland Park, Kansas.